On this week's Smoke Break, we are going to be talking about shipping charges, how to provide flat rate shipping, all that kind of good stuff. Stay tuned. So for me, my shipping is all done through Shopify. I use Canada Post for everything. When customers place orders, everything is already online. All I got to do is just buy the shipping label and away we go. Nice and easy setup, but I know not everybody does that. So we're going to talk a little bit about what you can do for your shipping. So for us, it is a little different up here in Canada. We don't have all the crazy options that all the Americans have. They've got all kinds of different ways of shipping. Us, we've got a little less. You can get an account through FedEx or through UPS or Purolator or whoever, Canada Post, whichever you'd like. A lot of the business accounts do provide a discount, which definitely does help because, when you get discounted shipping rates, you can then pass it on to the customer and it brings their shipping costs down a little bit, which definitely helps because, who wants to buy a bottle of spice for 10, 15 bucks and then pay 25 for shipping? Doesn't make much sense. But I know for me personally, Shopify calculates everything through Canada Post. So it's all done by weight and by size of package. I use a standard size box for all my orders. So, whether you order 1 rub or 5 or 8 or a dozen, it all comes in the same box, same size. It helps me keep my costs down on the boxes so I can buy them in bigger packaging, bulk, and it brings my cost down on that. And then it also simplifies for my shipping charges because my box is 8x8. So every time that somebody goes to add it, it's an 8x8 box. The only thing that changes is the weight. I used to use bubble wrap, but the bubble wrap was more expensive. It didn't actually drop the shipping charges any. So going from the bubble wrap envelopes to the small boxes is actually the exact same price for me personally anyways. I don't know, it might change depending on what you're shipping, but for me personally, it actually ended up being cheaper because the cardboard is cheaper than the bubble wrap envelopes. So with business packages, I've used Purolator before, usually for my wholesale because they're bigger weights, right? So you're sending bigger packages out. I had a business package, I believe, don't quote me on this because it's been a while. I use Canada Post for everything now. I believe it was like 30 or 25% discount on the shipping cost for being a small business. I could be wrong, and it might also depend on where you are. I would definitely look into it. It's a good option. But for me, Canada Post is the way to go. It's easier. I'm rural Manitoba, so I don't have a lot of options. We don't have all the fancy things that everybody in the cities do. Canada Post is easy. I go there, drop off my packages, they go. Nice and easy. So now I've got a new discount out, flat rate shipping, $10 across Canada and US. And the reason and the way that I do this is by basically losing money. So every order that my customers place, you, the customer, only pays $10 shipping. That doesn't change the cost for me. I'm still paying, $20 to ship within Canada. Shipping to the States for some weird reason is cheaper than keeping it in Canada. It's about $15. So I'm losing $5 to $10 per package that goes out. But I would rather pass that on to my customer and give them more reason to purchase directly. It helps sales, it helps online sales. I wouldn't pay $20 to get a couple of rubs. It doesn't make sense. So if I'm not willing to do it, I'm not going to make my customers do it. That is just crazy. So through my website, I created a flat rate shipping, $10 across the board. Anybody that goes on, that's what it is. There's no options in it. It's just $10 flat rate. That's it. For anybody else that's doing a business or starting a business, I would definitely look into it. Do your research. Make sure what's easiest for you is the way that you go. Because what's easiest for me might not be easiest for you. Purolite or FedEx or UPS, or there's so many different ways of shipping these days. It might be easier to do a different route for you. So I mean, always do your research, do your due diligence, check things out, sign up. Also check to see what the small business packages are. Some people might give a bigger discount than others. I know Canada Post, I'm getting like 33% discount right now, which helps because I'm doing a flat rate shipping, right? So that definitely is a bonus. Now I know this isn't ideal for everybody, but try and do a standardized shipping box or container or whatever it may be if you can. Like me, I use the 8x8, I think it's 8x8x6 box. For my orders, I can fit up to a dozen bottles in there. Now with the 60-ounce bottles coming out, I'm a little less. I can fit 9 in there, but I'm just gonna get a little bit of a bigger box once all my seasonings have been swapped over, and I'm gonna use that as my standard shipping. So whether it be 1 bottle or a dozen bottles, it's all the same box, nice and easy, doesn't change any pricing other than weight. So if you put 1 bottle in the box, it's cheaper than if you put 12 bottles in the box. That's all directly through Canada Post, all calculated. You put in your weights and everything, and it tells you what you're paying. Another real handy thing to have would be a shipping label printer. I personally am in the market for one. I haven't made a decision on one yet. I've just been using my regular printer for shipping labels as of right now. I print them out on the cutouts. It's a 4x6 label, stick them on the boxes, but it would be very beneficial to just have a dedicated shipping label printer. They're all standard size. They're usually thermal, so you don't have to worry about ink. Brings your costs down a bit. And I mean, when you buy a gigantic roll, it's way cheaper than trying to buy custom, 4x6 papers or anything like that. So that's kind of where I'm aiming for the New Year's, to get that done. Once that comes up, I can definitely let y'all know what I'm doing, or, if you want, just ask. I've got a few ideas right now as to which ones I'm going to be looking at. Going to the stores, kind of take a peek, play with them a little bit, see what's going to fit for me better. But it's definitely helpful to have that. They're not overly expensive. Definitely worth the cost. Packaging material. Packaging material, for me personally, I really don't need it. The bottles can bounce around. It doesn't hurt them, doesn't damage anything. But depending on what you're shipping, if it's breakable or anything, it might be something that you want to look into. Definitely get a few quotes from a few places, check it out, see what your options are. Paper, bubble wrap, advantages, disadvantages, depending on, I know Uline has, depending on what you're selling, bubble wrap bags that are already ready to go. You can seal them if you want, or just wide open like that. Or you can do paper. I know a lot of people still do paper, which it's something that everybody should probably put a little thought into. Obviously based on what you're selling, what you're shipping, size of package. I mean, some people don't need it. If you're shipping out products that are the same size as your box or already in a box, then you really don't need it. But it's something that you probably should think of. Another thing that I have not personally gotten into yet, but I do see a lot of it coming up, is custom boxes. So printed boxes, have your label on it or your logo or whatever you want on it. I personally don't really want to invest the money into something like that yet, because it is a little more costly. I would rather focus my energies and my monies on products, product development, just making sure that my products are quality and ready to go for customers. That is definitely a step towards where I want to go eventually, but as of right now, it's just not really feasible. But there are a lot of options. A lot of printing companies will do packaging. I've seen a lot of great custom printed boxes. Von Slicks has amazing packaging, absolutely gorgeous. Firebox Canada, that big white box with the Firebox logo on it, looks stellar. There's a few others that are out there that I've seen and are phenomenal, but there's also a lot of people like myself, a Uline box, just a brown box, I throw a sticker on it, good enough. I mean, what more can you ask for, right? The box is like 88 cents, the sticker is like 15 cents. You know, you're shipping for like $1. Not really gonna complain with that. When you're starting a small business, shipping is usually the last thing that you really look into, just because it's usually not a main concern. But it's definitely an important step, an important part of what we do. You know, everything is online now. People shop online. So shipping costs, like packaging and stuff like that, boxes, containers, whatever it may be, is definitely something that you should be looking into if you do decide to start a small business. You know, it's overlooked by a lot of people until the very bitter end. It might be something that you want to look into a little sooner. Just letting you know from experience, because I know I left it till the last second, and all of a sudden I was like, uh-oh, how do I do all this? What do I do? You know, I figured it out over the past 2.5 years, but from my experience, I'm just letting y'all know, it's definitely something to look into. So with all that being said, I want to know, whether you're a small business, whether you're the end consumer, what do you look for in shipping? Are you willing to pay more for shipping? Would you rather see $10 shipping over $20 shipping? I mean, I know it's a stupid question, but some people just don't worry about it. Some people are, you know, willing to spend the $20. I know personally, I'd rather pay less. What about packaging? Do you like seeing custom packaging? Does a plain box bother you at all? Just curious. Let me know in the comments. Until next week, this is Smoke Break.